Hey guys, welcome back to the Card Guy. Sebastian here. I got second at the Calling Las Vegas. This is the video. We're going to get into the deck profile and show you what I did. Alright, so getting into the deck profile, we have Seeds of Agony, all 9, the best card, one of the best cards in the deck. I love this card. I've been telling you, everyone, that this is the best one, the best card in the deck. Does everything, non-attack, pitch, relevant effect, plays for free. No more needs to be said. Then Plunder Run Red, the Unga Bunga card. This card is amazing. +3 and threatens a draw, and the fact that this isn't on the next attack, it's the next attack that hits this turn. So anytime an attack hits, we're going to draw a card. We have Shadow Puppetry. This card is amazing. Go again on anything. It doesn't have to be Shadow, of course. And +1, and then the relevant, like, look at the top of your deck and you may banish it. Great for getting more cards into the graveyard. Super relevant. Getting 3 attacks every turn is the goal of this deck. The way we have it built, going as aggressive as possible. And like this card and then the next card, Razor Reflex, is how we're doing that. This card was the MVP of the weekend for me. We'll get more into it later, but this is like kind of a card, like the card we built the deck around. We wanted to make sure that turns 1 through 3, we were doing more damage, doing enough attacks. The sneak damage and the fact that it gives go again, it's everything in one card.
What card do you like to pair that card with?
Oh my god. Spoiler alert, Tremor. This card, 1 for 6 if you banish something for the turn, so it's always live. Basically after turn 1, you do your like Shackle, Sword Swing, and then you go, okay, then I'll go in for 6, and they're like, okay, I'll take, and then you're like 9. Go again, do another attack. It's amazing. And then this weekend, I had a pretty brutal double Razor play, and that was amazing. This is sneaky because if they're not expecting it, you can put them below 13 in the mirror match and then get rid of the Carrion Husk, and I actually did that on stream. Sorry. But and then the getting into the Blood Debt stuff, this is an honorary Blood Debt. We can't play it, but this goes with the whole Blood Debt package. Soul Reaping, when you draw it, it's amazing. If you don't draw it, you don't. It's fine. It's another 6 for Prism. Now box 3 at the worst case. Then getting into the Blood Debt, we have Bounding Demigon. This is actually like my favorite Blood Debt that plays from the banish. 0 for 4. I love it. And then we have Riftbind. This is like the Blood Debt card that has the highest ceiling at the end of the game. You can do a pretty cool combo with this where you're hitting your Riftbinds for like 9 to 12 damage. Next up is the Utility Blood Debt. And this one, 1 for 4, solid, love it. And then also puts a non-attack action Blood Debt on the bottom, so we're putting Seeds. In the aggro matches, putting the 1 on the bottom doesn't really come up, but hey, it's still relevant effect, and it's still 1 for 4 that plays for free out of the banish at the end of the day. Ghostly Visit, this doesn't require a non-attack like Unhallowed and then Bounding, so this is just a 1 for 4. It always gets to be played from the banished, and I love this card. Probably it's going to be Bounding and then Ghostly for my 2 favorite Blood Debt cards. Then getting into the non-Blood Debt package, we have E-Strikes. Love E-Strikes. It's just like generically one of the most powerful cards in the game. If you don't have a way to give a go again with like Razor or Quicken or Shadow Puppetry, the go again's fine, or a lot of times I was doing the draw card, like a lot during this week. I was making this card draw more than I should have. Then we have Flock of the Featherwalker. Flock, it's really great for, just setting up against control decks, like mid-range decks, but also just setting up against aggro decks, turn 1, Shackle into Flock. Not bad at all. Guarantee 3 attacks on the next swing. Command and Conquer. Originally, we were only playing 2 in the main against the mirror, but I upped it to 3 on day 2 because this card overperforms so much, and it's honestly amazing. It's like one of the most powerful cards in the game, and it forces the block, or it forces them to have a worse turn than what they were going to have. So definitely pick up your copies before Aria, because this card's only going to get better with them having 2 arsenals in the Ranger deck. And then we have Art of War. Wow, this card, we've been saying this is like the most busted card in Chane with the right hand, and it really is to this day. Art of War, if you can see 1 a game, you're in a great position. If you can see 2, you're probably winning that game. This card is amazing. And then getting into the blues, this was an interesting blue count. Of course, we have the Seeds of Agony. Marvin Skies, I've always kept this, and I've really enjoyed it. I've never thought about replacing it. I love the Go Again effect for the Rune Blade attacks, and it turns on Nebula Blade. It's a blue. It's a very relevant card, and I like it a lot. This was new. Instead of the Phlox, we played Plunder Run Blues. Just another card for the aggro matches. Very important to make sure you're seeing more Plunder Runs in them, drawing more cards in them. And this is one of those cards that helps you do that. Playing it from hand never feels bad, even, honestly. And it's a non-attack, turns on Nebula Blade and all that good stuff. We got Shadow of Ursur, Blood Debt, the best blue Blood Debt there is. Blocks 3, has a relevant effect, puts stuff in the banish like Bounding to get that extra +1 attack, Riftbind to get that extra buff, and it's a really solid blue all around. The blue, the little spicy blue, is Tremor. Tremor is 1 for 4. Yeah, that's it. Like, it's a 1 for 4 that's blue, and we like that a lot. It doesn't block 3, but it's a very powerful blue card. And then our last blue, Vexing Malice MVP for closing out the mirror match. And yeah, this card, it's just amazing. It deals Arcane and blocks 3, and it's a blue. It just really love the card. Getting into the equipment, the standard equipment against the mirror: Ebonfold, Carrying Husk, Grasp of the Arcanite, and Snapdragon Scalers in with the Nebula Blade. So these are very important. This is your standard going into the mirror match. We're playing Ebonfold. A lot of people were opting out to play Arcanite Skullcap, but this card was super important all weekend, because what loses the Chain Mirror more than drawing an all red hand when you really need to have 1 blue? And this card kind of fixes that. And there was so many games in testing where we were playing this deck. I was playing Skullcap. Alex was playing Ebonfold. The turn he really had that all red hand that would have lost him the game, he was able to Ebonfold, get a blue in his hand, or at least a yellow to make some kind of turn happen. Or worst case scenario, you're putting a Seeds in the Banished, and then that's 1 card that, you know, gets to be played for free. And then also the Spell Void effect in the mirror match, very relevant. If you end up drawing well and you don't need the effect, then it's just fine to get rid of a invert existence. Like, they invert you, they think they're going to do that 2 last damage, and you're like, Spell Void 2, save yourself. Carrying Husk, it's amazing. Probably as long as this card can be played with Chane, we're going to play it with Chane, because it's 6 blocks. Grasp of the Arcanite blocks 2, the Rune Chane effect, very relevant. Yeah, it's very solid. Love this card. Snapdragon Scalers, go again. That's all I got to say. And then Nebula Blade, best weapon with Chane so far until Duskblade comes out. 2 for 4 that hits for it hits for 5. It making the Rune Chane, if it hits in the Arcane and mirror match, is very hard to deal with. So this is one of the cards that when you do swing Nebula Blade in the mirror, they go, should I block that? And then getting into, this is for, you know, Bravo, the aggro matches, Arcanite Skullcap. It's just, Arcanite Skullcap's amazing. It really is. Now, other than in the mirror match where we want to play the Ebonfold just so we don't draw those all red hands and die, but against Katsu, any other deck, this is overperformed. Bravo. Then we have our Null Rune. I'm scared of Kano. Justin, the Georgia Kano player, he actually was 4-0 at one point in the calling. Shout out to him. And he was in my bracket for a bit, so I was very scared. Yeah, I respected the Kano match. Luckily, didn't play Kano, but if I did, I was prepared. So, starting with a sideboard, 3 Lunar Tide Plunderer. This is for the Prism Mirror match. Also, we didn't really test it, but theory, Bolton 2 against Saber's Bolton, that if they're going to try to combo you, they need to have 4 soul. And 7 deals damage, and if it hits, they banish a soul. That way, they have to value, I gotta block this, and then that's 1 turn that they can't do the combo. Or if they let it hit, and that's 1 soul neg, then that's 1 more turn that they can't do the combo, and that gives you 1 more turn to try to kill them. But the main reason is Prism. It's a relevant attack if you have to attack, while Ninth Blade, you can't play it. You know, if it does end up in your arsenal, then it's just sitting there. Obviously, you wouldn't arsenal Ninth Blade, but you can arsenal this and just make it a 7 relevant attack. And, of course, it gets over Triumph, and it's very solid. Love this card.
And it's a shadow attack, so you can give it go again.
That was the other part, yeah. Shadow attack, you can give it go again with Chane. Thank you, Alex. And then the next card, Howl from Beyond. So this is what I was talking about. We are only playing 2 Howl from Beyond, and they're in the side deck. Obviously, as you can see, any deck that could be mid-range, we were putting these in against, but for the most part, I was expecting aggro. I wasn't expecting any kind of control decks or not a ton of control decks, and I ended up playing mostly aggro decks, but this did its job. I played Axis Dory round 1. This did fine. I played a couple Bravos, 2 Bravos. This did perfect. The 2 was all I needed with the unheld rights, putting them back on the bottom if I see them early. Obviously, if we go to a control heavier meta, we'll play more. But for now, for that calling, I was very happy with the 2. Same thing, Riftbind Yellows, usually in the main deck in the more control heavy meta. But in this meta, I chose to opt these out and play a heavier red line. I think I traded these out for the 3 Razors, and I've been very happy with that. Now, obviously, the blood deck counts a little low, but overall, I'm very happy with all of these cards being side. Same thing with Eclipse and Unhallowed Rights, just extra blues. I was originally playing 2 Unhallowed Rights, but last minute, I had to switch out the second one for Ebonfold, and I just didn't know what else to cut. The 1 was fine. It actually did get stuck. The 1 control match I did have it in. So it did its job, though. It put 1 back on the bottom. And Eclipse is just any match that can go long. We're going to play Eclipse to try to get Ursa out. And I did get Ursa out a couple times this weekend. It was very nice. So I just want to shout out my team. My team really did help me perfect this deck. Alex especially. He was the one who tried these cool aggro techs, and then he came to me and it's like, I know you've been playing the deck, you won 2 RTNs with it, you were killing it in skirmish season with the deck. What do you think these are good? And I was like, yeah, these are great. These are great techs, and I tried them, I tested them. He can actually test. I was a little iffy on them at first. I was like, I think I want to keep the control package in, but eventually I came to the conclusion that in the mirror match, having those Razors, having the Tremors really pushed you over the edge. And I ended up playing 8 chains, and I didn't lose a single one. One dude even Art Awarded me twice in the game. I saw no E-strikes, no Art Awards that game, and still, it was closer than I would have liked, but I still pulled it out. And that was the power difference in the regular standard chain deck in this one. And I think that for Chane in the mirror matches, if you're expecting a chain heavy meta, obviously not anymore, but for that event I was, and I felt like this was the best deck. Obviously it was weaker against control as you saw in the finals, but I'm very happy with the run, very happy that my team did so well, and it was a great event. It was super exciting, and I hope we can do it again, run it back in Dallas, run it back in Cincinnati, and hopefully run it back in Nationals. Until then, check you guys next time. I'm out.